You know, it was a $90 billion asset class in March of 2000 when I was first looking at it. And then by August, it was about $180 billion asset class. And right now, 4 years later, it's $1.8 trillion asset class. And I think it's going to 18 trillion, then 180 trillion, then it's going to go beyond that. So I think it's a very simple thing. I think Bitcoin is going to grow from 0.1% of the money in the world to 7% of the money in the world over the next 21 years. And of course, you should just go long and keep buying it.
0.1% to, you said 7%?
Yeah, it'll go from like 1.8 trillion to $240 trillion, and it'll go up 29% a year ARR. That is my base case.
And I've heard you say that in 21 years it's going to be at $13 million.
That
per
takes you
Bitcoin?
to 13 million a coin.
13 million a coin
13 million a coin.
at 29%.
Every Bitcoin you don't buy is going to cost you $13 million, my friend.
Every
Think
Bitcoin.
hard.
So let me ask this
Your
question.
Ford Bitcoin Ferrari is going to be a
And remember, that's the base case. It could be even crazier. Now, what he was talking about here, for the most part, just had to do with where we expect these cryptocurrencies to head towards over the next few years. And if I look at some of the things I bought, for example, some of the watches that I bought back in 2017, for example, I really do realize that every single time I bought something with crypto, regardless of what the timing was, maybe I sold it at the top, maybe it was the bottom, because I definitely sold a lot of Bitcoin at $7,000 a Bitcoin, which obviously right now could have bought me a lot more stuff. I keep realizing that every single time you do it, if you just look a bit further into the future, it was a bad deal. At the time, I cashed at the top. The reason I often state in these videos that even if you never sell, you're most likely fine. It's mostly because in the history of these cryptos, they've mostly only gone up, right? The market cap is at the highest points ever. Maybe it was higher 2 weeks ago or so, but we're definitely at the highest points ever for most of these coins. And for that reason, if you just broaden your horizon a bit, you'll realize you don't really have to sell at the top, or you don't really have to cash out your coins to fiat. Let me say something. All right. But first of all, make sure you press that like button. But I think a lot of people are going to catch on to what I'm trying to say here in just a second. But every single day, I've got people asking me, hey, how do I cash out? When do I cash out? What am I supposed to do? And my answer is always, and this was funny enough last night, that's why I'm bringing it up now. A thing I always say is, my goal is never really to cash out any of these coins at all. Some of them I buy for profit. But most of them, my main holds, I have because I think they're going to be so ingrained in this new financial system, so completely game-changing that the idea of cashing out doesn't really sound that good to me. Now, let me say two things. One is, if I look back at the previous cycles, if you cashed at the top, bought the bottom, you would have made good money. And so for that reason, if you can, you have the foresight to realize what the cycles most likely will look like. It's a good idea. But I'm just saying, in the base case, the growth that we're expecting, especially like Michael Saylor just said, we're expecting 100x's from here. We're expecting at least the market to grow by 100-fold of what it is today. When you're selling, you're taking that crypto, putting it into fiat. You're putting it into dollars, whatever, right? The idea with dollars is either to fund your life if you're poor, not to be rude, but it's the idea that if you don't have that much, you need these dollars to fund your life. If you've got enough, generally speaking, you don't really need to cash out anymore, because what is the cashing out going to do? It's going to lead into different business ventures, mostly to create more wealth. But if the idea is to generate more wealth, get more, let's just say money in that sense as well, get more assets, get more that's going to generate you more, usually comes back to putting it in crypto. Or into some cash generating asset like a house or something of those sorts. To that extent, I'll say, hey, very good on you if you're cashing it out to buy something like that. But in very many cases, really, if you start thinking about what better area to put it into. Oh, but a bank account is safe. Well, if you really believe in crypto the way I do, a bank account really is not that safe from the perspective that there's not really going to be yield. Yeah, but my savings account. All right, well, the whole reason crypto works so well is because people also understand the bank system is kind of screwed, and you're saving. Is it really your money still if you're letting them lend it out like that? I mean, it's a discussion for a different day. Let's just say that I've come to understand over these years that if you really believe in this entire asset class, you do not really need to cash out. And with the idea that everything is basically going 100x from here, it's all about timing. But theoretically speaking, I think for some people, if they really want themselves dollars to go ahead and buy stuff with, right? What I actually think is going to be a way bigger thing in the near future is more DeFi things, in the sense that, let's say you've got your XRP, let's say you've got your XLM, let's say you've got your HBAR, you've got your Bitcoin, you lend them out in these protocols, and they give you dollars back for a small value of the total portion of your collateral. This obviously is already happening now, but I'm just saying that's going to be a more common thing, and people use that. Their coins stay the same. Their coins just go up and down in value. Let's say they got $20 million in coins they lend out, right? They're just grabbing like $2 million in actual dollar terms from it, just because it's being put up as collateral, so you actually pay it back. But so there's a lot of leeway, right? 90% here, so the price can drop 90% and you'll still be fine. And they use those dollars to do things with if they need, actual dollar terms or whatever. So they never basically have to spend their coins. Because I'm thinking, as we progress, there will always be traders, and I'm obviously always trading. Why am I saying that? Well, if you want to also trade, I've got a link down below to 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗃. It's a platform I use to trade crypto right now, or maybe even 𝗕𝗏𝗃. You could check it out. And make sure you press that like button if you haven't done it yet. But the reason I love trading these cryptos so much, for the most part, has to do with the fact that you can have some dollars that you already had, or you cashed out a meme coin, because those, you got to sell some of those more often, right? You can take those, put dollars into a contract, basically. In this case, you're an XRP contract and a Bitcoin contract, to name some examples. On Bybit actually, unfortunately, logged out, so I'll log back in a bit. But you can take those dollars and try to just multiply them into more dollars, more dollars, more dollars. It's, in my opinion, very different than what I'm trying to do with my real crypto bag. These I'm trying to hold on to forever. Yes, you can buy and sell them a little bit with the cycles, because that's just sometimes smart if you can really guess what's going to happen, right? But generally speaking, I'm always trying to get more coins. Every single XRP I let go, every single XLM I let go, every single Bitcoin I let go, it's going to cost me a lot over time. On the dollar terms, all I'm trying to do is make more dollars. That's why you open these positions. Let's say you start out with $10,000. I don't care how many coins I buy for that. I buy a contract for $10,000. I'm trying to sell that contract for more. And so it keeps going on. Two different bags, two different ideas, two different philosophies. And that's why I always tell people, I'm personally a really big pro. I'm for trading crypto as well. Besides just having a bag, you always, in my opinion, got to have these positions open. Even if you just do not want to, I should say it differently. Even if you actually just want to hold, I personally think for mental clarity, it's so much easier if you have a position and spot bags, spot being you buy the coins and you have them outright. Just because I don't like selling these spot bags, it kind of feels like you're gambling a little bit. Whereas with these positions, the only thing I care about is turning, for example, $10,000 into $40,000. I don't care if I had to buy 1 or 2 or 7,000 coins. All I care about is whatever value those coins have right now. It just makes it way easier, so I never have to FOMO sell these things. Oh, because if things start to crash, I have the same exact amount of coins on the left, with my spot bags. And this, I could just, ebb and flow. I can buy the dip a little bit. I can average my price down. But then on the way up, I sell again for a profit. Keeps the mind a bit more clear. Again, this is an answer to the question of when to sell, what to do, 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓. In my opinion, since everything is going 100x from here, theoretically speaking, I never really have to sell if they're coins in the main list, in the top of the top. The lower down the rankings you go, the more risky things get, the more you got to think about all this stuff. But generally speaking, that's my philosophy with it all. And anyway, as the lower down the rankings you go, the more careful you got to be. But if you're high up with coins that we often talk about on this channel, I don't really see it as having a risk. Is that objectively true? No, there's obviously risk to any investment that you're doing, but I don't see it as one, in the sense that if I'm holding Bitcoin, for example, if I'm holding XRP, I never am thinking, oh, I really have to sell this at the top because otherwise I'm going to be wrecked. The way I see it is, if I don't sell this one right now, I got to wait some time again before it's going to be higher, but it's okay. Right? It's all good because nobody really knows for sure. And that's the truth behind it all. Nobody in this world really knows for sure where we're going to be tomorrow, where we're going to be next. All we know is the direction, generally speaking, is going to be upwards. 100x for almost anything out there in like the base case. I keep putting up people saying, Dusty, but $50 in XRP sounds so ridiculous. It really doesn't sound that ridiculous to me. But $1 million per Bitcoin is so far. It doesn't sound ridiculous to me at all. It's a 10x from here. It's going to happen, in my opinion. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. It might take 5 years, might take 7 years, it might take 3 years, but it's going to happen. Oh, but Cardano, it's all these coins. I'm just at least thinking of a 100x for them all. And that makes holding it so much easier. Because again, I got my targets locked in. Anyway, if you disagree, I don't know. Let's just agree to disagree then. because nobody's changing my mind on all this. Nobody is. There's nothing possible you could tell me to change my mind off of all this. All we got to talk about here is cyclical nature and how much to spend on the spot, how much to spend on the contracts, for example. What's the best split? Should you really even go for that? Is it worth it? Just hold on to your bags. So how to actually generate cash flow then, if that's something you're interested in. Those are all valid discussions, but they all come back down to one very important thing. It's all based on in my opinion, pretty clearly defined cycles, meaning Bitcoin usually moves like this. We talk about it every single day on the channel, exactly how we think Bitcoin moves, to what extent it goes up, to what extent it goes down. So you can either play along with that game, sell as things get logical to sell, buy but things get logical to buy, or you can skip it all, because overall, if you look a little bit further into the past here, you realize that every single time it hit a top, if you just held on to it and you didn't really do much, you just skipped it, you would have still made profit right now. So the second thing becomes, how do we trade it the best way? But again, those might be two completely different discussions depending on your risk profile. But yeah, you know what? That's it for today's little crypto update. Just want to give you guys some thoughts as to, hey, 100x from here. Don't panic. Don't worry. If you're not really thinking of cashing out, you will ultimately, in my opinion, be completely fine. Even if you miss the target completely, usually you are fine. That's it for today's update. Make sure you put that notification bell on so you never miss out on another crypto video. That's about it.